There we go. The performance has ended. I found it a little hard today to get in my zone for some reason. I'm thinking too much. I'm too much in my head, I think. But I'm not going to edit that. I think I was at least playing mostly the right notes, and my timing was kind of in and out. So I'm always improving, and improvement isn't necessarily like here to here. It's sometimes like this. So forgive me, stick with me. I'm learning, and I'll get better. And what was I thinking about today? The performance ends eventually, whether we like it or not. And how does it end? Do we have control of that? Well, sometimes. Do you want to walk out, or do you want to have them drag you off stage? And there's no right or wrong answer to that. And I'm assuming you know the analogy when I say the performance is life, music is life. And we don't always know when the performance ends. We don't always have control of that. Sometimes we get a little warning. And when we get that little warning, I think it's okay to think about how it ends. I think it's important to think about that because it alleviates some of our anxiety about not knowing how it ends, and preparing for that, I think, is a good thing, even though not everybody likes to talk about it. Not everybody likes to hear that. I think it depends on your age too. I'm Gen X. Maybe you're Gen X, maybe you're not. But I think at our age as Gen X, it's good to start thinking about how the performance ends and how we want it to end. And personally, I would prefer to walk off the stage than to have them drag me off, to let them drag me off, I should say. I'm stammering all over my words here. But that time is not soon, I don't think. I hope it's not. And I have got a little warning that it might be a little sooner than I expected, and that's what's caused me to think about it more. But having said that, I'm going to make the most out of this performance while I still can perform. The question is, when it comes closer to that time, do I let it linger? Like, think about a song like American Pie. It's too long, right? It would probably be a good song if it were a lot shorter, but it lingers so long. I mean, you may have a different opinion, and there are some long songs that are pleasant. I think of Hotel California and just long jam sessions by the Allman Brothers or whoever, I don't know, whatever your musical taste is. And then sometimes we get a little bit longer than expected, especially when I'm playing the blues. I'm thinking about, or maybe I should say, I'm thinking that this particular song is going to end, but I get a few more bars, and that's kind of cool, usually, unless there's times when I feel like I really gave a good couple of bars and I want to end it there. And then I have a few more to go, and then I start getting too much in my head again and start thinking, I just wanted to leave at that. There's some kind of glory in leaving at your peak too. Like when you're at the top of your game and you just walk away, then you don't stick around to drop off, I guess, at the end. And I'm thinking specifically, so my career as an English teacher, I taught English as a second language for 5 years, and that was a lot of fun. And I feel like I left at the top of my game too. I feel like I left when I was really having a lot of fun. The students respected me. And this was 2018 when I stopped. So I taught from 2013 to 2018. And looking back, it was getting to the point where people were just starting to use cell phones more in the class. And so I had to compete with that and figure out what I was going to do about that. And I think I left on a good note. I left when I had not burned out. I was probably at the top of my career as far as how good I was at it, because I was going to probably get to a point, if I kept doing it, where I was going to maybe get a little tired of it, or certain things would start to annoy me, but they hadn't yet. And I moved away. I basically packed up my Jeep and drove 22 hours. I did stop once on the way, but moved out to the desert in Arizona. And I had planned to get another job in the same field at that time, but it was a little more challenging than I had thought. Long story short, basically, the teachers even at the community colleges had PhDs, and I only had a master's degree. With a master's degree and 5 years teaching experience, I was only able to get a job as a tutor after the person they hired over me quit. So I did that for a little while, and it was fun. But I never actually went back to teaching. And after a while, I stopped really having the desire to go back to teaching. And looking back, I'm really glad actually that I didn't, because had I gone back to that career, I may have gotten to the point where I burned out, or where I found things that I didn't like about it. And I would have had a different opinion altogether. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what would have happened. That's what normally happens with anything in life. And for something to last 5 years, that to me personally is a pretty long time. I mean, you may have a different opinion about that, but I did it for 5 years, went out at my peak, and that's that. And how does that apply to anything else in life? I don't want to walk away from playing guitar. I feel like I can always improve with that, and that's one of the few things that I will stick with no matter what. And I don't even know that I need to make a lot of changes, because I've found my lane. I've really worked my life experimenting with different lanes, and with the blues I found what I feel is my lane, and I get enough freedom within that lane, if that makes sense. But the question is, when the performance ends, when I can't play anymore, am I going to be satisfied with what I've left to the world? And I think even if the performance ended tomorrow, I think I would be okay with that, because when I look back and the things, not only in music, but life in general, the mark that I've left on the world, I believe that I will have left the world a better place than it was when I found it, at least. I think, I hope, and that's what we can all hope for, really, is to leave the people you are close to better off than they were when you found them, loved ones, and just the world in general. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. I know I was kind of all over the place with this one, so forgive me, stick with me, and as I said, I will improve. Thanks for listening. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.